America or voters in general, when they're deciding who they want to vote for, they want a mom and they want a dad. Not to be homophobic, because there can be, same-sex parents here. They want a mom and
crap like that too is why you guys are losing young men, because you have to say not to be homophobic because I know there could be two dads or two moms. Yeah, it's when you say crap like that, that also has young men tuning out.
Life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized
so that right there is the problem. It's that if a guy went and said that and saying, I love young women, I love sorority girls, these people would be losing their mind. And the issue right there, and I wonder if she realizes this.
Like, I'm sure Asmund Gold says some pretty good stuff. That's
actually the problem, right?
But I want to watch the original video. So here. I think it's right here. Mika.
Olivia.
And his name's not Mike, it's Mika.
Writes a Substack, which probably, statistically speaking, 89% of y'all read already. But Olivia, I want you to talk about that Substack. And I also want you to talk about one of the newer articles that you wrote about why men drifted right in the previous election. I consider myself a resident expert on this because I am a man. So I feel like we have an interesting conversation.
I mean, I guess technically you are.
In that article.
Yeah. So my Substack it's called A New Perspective.
This guy right here looks like he's 14 years old.
OliviaJulianna.substack.com, and we're actually very close to hitting 100,000 subscribers on Substack. I'm very excited. But I write a lot about politics, and I hate that all these newsletters are the same. There's so many Substacks that you get on, and they're all telling you the same stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to give you a new perspective on the political issues that are going on. And so I keep seeing people talk about young men in the 2020 cycle or in the 2024 cycle, and they keep saying well, it's because they're not getting laid enough and they feel judged, and or alternatively, well, they're just racist and they hate women. So it's really, I see these takes coming out from both sides of the party wing, I would say, and I just think that all of that is wrong. I think all of it is wrong.
The only correct part was that they are feeling judged. Yes, men are feeling judged. We, as a society, we have been judging men harshly.
And so I wrote this piece called The Politics of Getting Laid and Preachy Females. And I really dive into what I actually perceive it to be. And shocker, it's all economic anxiety. I think the Democrats have a really bad problem of every time we message to young men, we frame it in a way that is wrapped up in the same principles that we critique. We critique the patriarchy. We critique the way that men have higher hierarchy and power structures. And then we message to them as if not only is that the reality, but that they have to continue to be like that. So the example I use in the article is the issue of abortion. When we message to young men on abortion, or men in general, we do it from the position of, well, real men protect women. And if you care about the women in your life, you should be pro-choice. And that might be true. That is true. But we don't come at it from the approach of this is the reality that young men face about that issue. Because it's entirely possible that a young woman in college gets pregnant unexpectedly, and that could upend her life if she doesn't have access to abortion care. But it's also entirely true that the young guy who gets her pregnant, now he's on the hook to not only take care of this child that could be him, that could be coming into the world, but also to take care now of the mother of his child. And I think that it would be so much easier if we just understood that the problems we're having with young men shifting to the right, it's not because they don't agree with us on the policy. They do agree with us on the policy.
No, we don't.
It's because they feel like we don't understand the struggles they're facing, the actual struggles, not the perceived struggles of the masculinity crisis or whatever it is, the actual struggles. And instead, we just kind of want to blame them for all of our problems.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that is true. You do want to blame men for all your problems, but I mean, listen, I mean, she hasn't really said specifically what the problem is. That is a problem, though. You do blame men for all your problems, but you also don't want to lay any sort of responsibility onto women at all. That's another part of the problem.
And I think there's a lot of that I just fully agree with. I mean, we just don't message to men, right? As like we don't message in a way that resonates to men. Like something that you kind of responded to that I've seen a lot is, well, the reason why Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? It's like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody. And Republicans say, you get to do that. And then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost men, it's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what are you like? What is going on? Like there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously. And it's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well,
Republicans don't tell you. Oh, it's not that Republicans are telling men, yeah, you just want to get laid and all these things. That's not the messaging at all. It's just that we do. The Republicans do tell the men that, hey, it's okay to be men. It's okay to do manly things. And no, that's not just about getting laid. It's about other things. It's about not having to always just feel guilty for being a man, which is what the Democrats and the left have been doing. Like, you got to feel guilty for being men. Did you know that 1 in 4 college girls get raped or sexually assaulted? Huh? Did you know that? 1 in 4. We got to teach you men not to rape, huh? You know, you got to not catcall women. You got to not do all these men. You're just horrible. Why are you so horrible to women? So, no, you know, it's just... and it's like overboard. I'm not saying we shouldn't teach men not to rape or anything like that. Obviously, that would be wild to you know, advocate for the opposite. But it's like everything men did was like scrutinized and criticized. You know, like everything. You can't even look at a woman the wrong way without it being like, oh my gosh, you're oppressing her. So it wasn't just that you were criticizing men. It's like you're kind of overdoing it. Like you just... Like men couldn't be men at all. And we just had to let women do whatever they wanted.
I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses. And I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys.
I love young men. I love them like I love my cheeseburgers. Thank you very much, Cassie, for the super chat. A large lesbian Latina. Finally, men will be heard. Yes. Is she Latina? I didn't know that. I thought she was just a white girl. But thank you very much, Cassie, for the dono. Much appreciated. Maybe we'll meet that goal today.
Guys. And in that, I've realized, like, even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
They're not talked to, right? And yeah, they're not welcome. That's true. Like there's a lot of times where it's like being like mass.
That might be true. That might be, but I don't think that's completely true. I don't think it's true with a lot of the men on the right. I don't think it's just that, oh yeah, we agree with you guys on the issues, but you just criticize us. I mean, that's, I don't know. I guess that could probably be true with some of them, but I don't think it's true with everyone.
Feeling characteristics or seem like they're frowned upon and they're kind of welcomed and championed by the Republican Party. And like masculine characteristics are not characteristics that are intrinsically bad, right? Like
toxic masculinity. That's another one that's been coined by the left, is toxic masculinity. You know, it's basically like, oh, masculinity. It's bad. It's been demonized.
Some Democrats have presented it that way. Now, obviously not most Democrats, but it's like this perception that a lot of guys have had. In terms of issues, like good messaging is messaging that resonates with people's actual anxieties and lived experience, right? And so, yeah, like the Whatever podcast can resonate with men that are like incels or like struggling.
I've noticed the Whatever podcast is like these people's go-tos of of like, yeah, this is toxic masculinity. This is terrible. And if you actually watch the show, it's actually like, it's not bad. Like, it's not bad in terms of like, oh, this is something men shouldn't listen to or anything like that. I actually think, maybe more women should listen to this show. But it's just funny how that's their go-to.
Women, right? Because a girl was mean to them or whatever, and they're able to project upon like those women.
Yeah, like that's what it is. It's just angry men watching this, and they're just projecting their hatred of women. That's how they, this might be why you don't get, this is why men are leaving the left or the Democrat parties, because you don't understand. Men don't watch this show because I just want to hate watch to see them dominate women. I like what, because there's a lot of good conversations on the Whatever podcast. They actually host good debates, especially when they have like Andrew Wilson on or these other guys on there, and they talk with these women, and they talk with these women, and a lot of times with a lot of these young women on the show, it's like a big dose of reality for them. Like they've never thought about some of the things that get talked about on here. Sometimes they go into deep conversations in here, and you can tell the women that they're talking to, they've never thought about this stuff in their life. This is probably the first time that they've actually been talked to like that. And it's not like, yeah, show her. That's what like chumps like this guy or like that Raphael guy, they think that's what the Whatever podcast is just dressing down women or something. It's like, well, no. It's actually a pretty good wake-up call sometimes for a lot of these women. And no, it's not just dressing them down. It's not like it's just guys yelling at women and the women can't respond. It's a conversation that the women and the men are having. But you don't understand that. And that's probably why the Democrats aren't resonating with men.
Which come on and like look really dumb. They're able to say like, yeah, all women are like this. I feel better about myself. But there's all these other things that resonate probably more, which is like, man, shit's expensive, right? Like, man, I don't feel supported, right? Like, I don't feel like there's anywhere for me.
I can see why one would get the idea that Whatever podcast is some crazy misogynist show, because that's how people that don't watch it talk about it. Yeah, no, indeed. And especially if you just see the clips, if you just watch clips, it's understandable how one could get that impression. I think that's why sometimes it's important to watch some of these shows. Let's see what Matt's Vibes has to say. I think that Whatever podcast is actually more of a litmus test than anybody wants to give it credit for, being because it's actually not even about the debates themselves most of the time. What it's about is the reaction to the standards that the men are upholding as their sides of the debate. I mean, these women are mind blown by the draft or not wanting a 304. Yeah. Thank you very much, James, for the $5 donation. Seriously, thank you very, very much. I want to reiterate once again that all your donos go to supporting the channel. But yeah, no, I agree with Matt's vibes here. 100%.
They go. Right. I feel like if something bad happens to me, no one's there.
What's with this automatic zoom? It's annoying.
That's the thing that a lot of men deal with, because men are a lot of times kind of put in the box of supporting other people. So no one's there to support themselves.
Yep.
And it's like, those are things that we can absolutely talk to. Actually, we could probably speak to better than the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think speaking to that is also understanding the mentality that they're coming from too. So another example is when you look at the polling of what are the issues that are the most important to young men, one of the top issues consistently is immigration. If you actually talk to a young guy about how he feels about immigration, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about immigration. It's this idea of scarcity and competition of, if you're a young man in America, you are expected to go to college or go to a trade school, get a certification, get a degree. Then you're expected to get a high-paying job. And then once you get your high-paying job, you're expected to find your wife and to buy a house and to have kids and to do all of these things. And if you don't do that, then you're a failure, because you are the man and you are the provider. And if you can't provide, then you're not actually a man. And so the Republicans specifically, they set this expectation and then they make it almost impossible for young men to actually do those.
Notice how it's always the Republicans' fault still. It's the Republicans' fault that men are leaving the left pretty much. That the Democrats' messaging isn't resonating with them because the Republicans set these high standards. No, these are standards that we've always had. These are duties, actually. These are called duties that men have. And actually, the problem is that we're expected to fulfill these duties while women don't have any duties at all. They have no duties, and we don't, and we're not expecting them to fulfill any of these duties. And no, I mean, if she's going with the whole, well, that's extra competition for men, then we do care about immigration. Then how can she sit there and say, well, they don't care about immigration, but it's that they're expected to fulfill all these duties. Well, yeah, then we do care about immigration. So then what's the alternative? If immigration isn't the problem, and it's just these unhealthy expectations that Republicans put on us men, well, what's the alternative then? Should we just tell men they don't have to fulfill these duties then? We just tell men they could also just do whatever they want? Like, I don't understand.
Those things, whether it's through not raising minimum wage, whether it's through the price of tuition going up.
And so this is what they always try to do. They always try to tie it into their stupid Democrat policies. So obviously the solution is we need to raise the minimum wage. They would be fine with immigration if we just raise the minimum wage. You know, if we just give them free college, well, then men wouldn't have all this pressure on them. Men wouldn't have all this pressure, and they wouldn't care about illegal immigration. They wouldn't care about it then. You know, it always directly ties into their wacko freaking policies. They don't get it that their policies are wacko. Democrats, your policies are freaking wacko. Only wackos support your policies. Only wackos think that the solution is to raise the minimum wage, the federal minimum wage. Only wackos think that, yeah, we should have free college. People who don't know how the economy works or how the world works. Those are only people that support your policies. That's another thing. You guys just want to give out free stuff. Not everyone just wants free stuff.
All these different things. And so what ends up happening is you have these young guys who they're working every single day. They're working on oil rigs. They're working at Amazon warehouses. Maybe they work a 9-to-5 job. They're working every single day, and they're still not getting ahead. So then we force young men to make this decision of either you can blame yourself or you can blame others. And if you're a young guy and you're working 8 to 12 hours a day, if you're paying all your bills, you're doing everything you can, and you're still not getting ahead, why do we expect them to think that they're the problem? They're doing everything that they've been told to do their entire life. And so that kind of little nagging, insecure voice in the back of the head, that's where Republicans really push through that ideology and get to young men, is because then
this whole video shows that they don't understand the problem. It's not hard, guys. You're willingly not seeing the actual issue because you want to push your wacko agenda. That's it. So now you're making all these excuses. And so first of all, personal responsibility. It's because your guys' messaging, like, you're taking some of the responsibility and saying, oh, our message is incorrect, but you're still blaming Republicans. No, guys, you push wacko policies. You demonize men and masculinity. And man, I had another point too. So you demonize men. You don't. You know what, guys? I got nothing. Dude, I was on a roll and then I just had a brain fart and it just like brain wipe. But part of it is that you demonize men. You don't take any, and you have wacko policies. That's what it was. And you guys don't take responsibility. Like, you guys always want to just blame Republicans. That's your whole solution. It's the Republicans. It's the Republicans. It's the Republicans. You guys completely lack personal responsibility.
They can convince them, well, this is the person whose fault it is. it's not your fault that you can't get ahead in America. It's the immigrants who are coming here. It's their fault because they're taking your high-paying jobs.
Right. And hits on something that's so true. It's not that people are intrinsically prejudiced against immigrants. I mean, certainly some people are, but most people are not. The critical mass of Americans that say they care about immigration are not. It's that Republicans have made immigration an economic issue. They've made it an everything issue. I mean,
it is an economic issue. It's also it's an economic issue because it's not Republicans have made it an economic issue. It is an economic issue. It's just reality. And also it's a crime issue. You know, you're letting all these millions of illegal immigrants in. A lot of them are criminals. I mean, by default, criminals if they're here illegally, but I mean like criminals beyond just being here illegally. Like they're actually sex traffickers, drug traffickers, gang members. A lot of them that are here are those types of people, and that's causing a crime issue as well.
Point to immigrants and they say, these are the people that are taking away your livelihood, the safety of your family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like, that's a lie. It's a vicious lie, but it's a lie that you can perhaps understand people believing if they have no other explanations offered to them. And I think there's something else about this that's really insightful. It's men are looking for an explanation about why things kind of suck in their lives, right? And so if you look at a lot of the content that men like watch, well, some of it's, you know, this right-wing content. A lot of it's like self-help stuff, right? Like who's the most into self-help? It's men. And what does this?
You need to stop being a simp. That's funny.
Self-help say.
But that's the thing is that they demonize like the whatever podcast and all this stuff, like Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit talks about this stuff from what I've heard. I don't actually listen to Fresh and Fit, but from clips that I've seen or whatever, they talk about stuff like this. Same thing like with the whatever podcast, they talk about stuff like this. Like a lot of that stuff is to help men not be simps and all of this stuff. Now, all of their prescriptors I don't agree with, obviously, but they do talk about this stuff, but you want to demonize it.
It's your mind. It's your thought process. That's the reason why things suck, right? And it's not that people are even always eager to blame someone else. They're just eager to have an explanation.
So it's not the illegal immigrants it's the problem. It's just us looking for something to place the blame on.
A solution to the suffering they're facing in their lives.
I had a really in-depth conversation a few weeks ago with some other content creators where I was talking about the messaging that the Democratic Party uses so often. And we talk about the, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. And I think where we've kind of fallen into this trap is we have made the party exclusive by trying to make it inclusive. And what I mean by that is every room we walk into, the messaging that we're using is different. Every single one of them. And I think that that's the wrong way to go about it. I think we should have one specific, this is the message we use on this issue, because people are going to interpret that message however they want to interpret it. Everyone has their own form of cultural competency. So, and I think what Trump in particular is they kind of just say the same thing over and over again. And then if they ever change their opinion on it, they just say it with so much confidence that it's hard to convince people that that's not what they meant. So for us, I think it's just, we should just be saying the same thing about the same issue over and over and over again, and let the voters decide what it means through their own cultural lens instead of telling them specifically what we mean every single time.
Right. The issue with pandering is it looks like you're pandering. You don't seem genuine whenever you're saying something different in two different rooms with different demographics in them. Even if you are being genuine, but sometimes it's just not, right? Like the Kamala Harris's agenda for Black men. I don't think that really went anywhere because it just seems so kind of contrived. It seems so like.
Well, and and this is the same thing. It's the same thing that Hillary Clinton did, where you'll have people on the right throw out these claims of like, well, what are you doing for this group? And we'll have these long-winded explanations with these details and these figures, and then we can go out and talk about it so we're blue in the face, but at that point the conversation's already moved on because they didn't actually care about the answer. They cared about how they felt about the answer. And so I feel like we just get into these specifics.
Well, no, it's that they didn't care about it at all. They don't care about the topic at all. They're just politicians and they just want to say what they think we want to hear. So they actually don't care about the issue at all. That's the only reason why they pander to these groups, is because those are voters.
Oh, frequently. That frankly, like, people just don't care about.
But we need simple ideas that you articulate all the time, right? So like, for instance, build more housing, right? And somebody says, well, how does that benefit this group? It's like, well, do you live in housing? Like there's some big economic issues that hit everybody. Affordability is one of the most central ones. And that's something that we should champion. And the good news is it helps everyone, right? It's not just good policy all the time, but it's also
affordability. That's what the Republicans have been running on. It's just that you have different ideas of what affordability is. You think affordability is we should raise the minimum wage. We need to tax the rich. We need to give free college, free health care. Give out money so people could afford down payments on houses. That's your idea of affordability. Where Republicans, at least they run on solutions. Well, I should specifically say maybe Donald Trump runs on solutions that would actually make things more affordable. That's not just, I'm going to artificially raise this and give this out for free. It's things that actually hurt the economy. Because the first thing I learned in my high school econ class, the very first thing the teacher taught, very first lesson he gave, and this was in my high school econ class, was there's no such thing as a free lunch. That no matter what, someone had to pay for it. It's very simple. It's a very simple lesson that teaches you about how the economy works. There's someone else that pays for it. So there's no such thing as free college or free health care and all this stuff. At the end of the day, we're still paying for it. It's just what it's going to do is it's going to raise all of our taxes and it's going to hurt the economy. Very simple lesson. But you guys don't care about that. You just want to give out free stuff because, I don't know.
Like, we don't need to have different messages for different groups, in large part because there isn't different policy solutions for different groups. Like, targeted policies are usually ones that are kind of watered down, right? They're kind of less, increasing funding for specific grant programs for certain races of businesses. I mean, that's great and all, and we've had that for a long time. But that's not going to fix the big economic inequality and opportunity issues we have in this.
Yeah, and also, too, the economic inequality. There's always going to be economic inequality. That's it. That's just it. Okay? We're not all created equal. We don't all grow up the same. We're not all raised the same. We're not all around the same external factors that we're not exposed. There you go. That's what I was looking for. We're not all exposed to the same external factors. So some people are going to be richer than others, and there's some people that are going to be poorer than others. Sometimes it could be something else's fault that we could maybe address. But for the most part, there's sometimes there's going to be people that have money that don't deserve it, and there's going to be some times that there are people going to be working their asses off and they have nothing to show for it. It's unfair, but that's just how it is. And you guys artificially trying to balance things out, you're screwing things up more.
Country, the only thing that could do that is dramatic investments, is a huge expansion of the social support system, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the kind of stuff that we should probably focus on talking about.
No, you guys have been focused on talking about it. We don't want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You look at things like, the healthcare plan, or, homeowners, like first-time loans up to this amount or this percentage. I need Democrats to start talking like, well, what's your healthcare policy? My healthcare policy is healthcare should be good and cheap.
Right. Because he doesn't explain I'm going to do price transparency, like a price statute, and I'm going to expand the premium tax credit, whatever.
No.
Republicans never say the word tax credit. Why do we say the word tax credit all the time?
Well, we say tax cuts, and you guys don't like that. Tax cut means that we don't pay as much in taxes, meaning more money for us that we get to keep. But you guys get angry when we say tax cuts. Tax credits, so you just want the government to just give us I mean, I'm not against tax credits or anything, but you could have tax credits and you could also have tax cuts. But no, it's not just tax credits that are going to fix everything. It should also be tax cuts.
I think it's because like we're still operating in this like fallout of Reagan, Bill Clinton mentality. But the difference is that most Democrats don't have the charisma that Bill Clinton had. And so instead of leaning on the charisma, they lean on the details. And I just don't think it translates the same way. We just come off as a bunch of dorks. Like that's just the truth. We just come off as a bunch of dorks. Nobody wants to listen to a dork.
I think voters like people they think are.
I mean, yeah, that's true. You got this dork right here. So she's right about that.
Smart, but they don't like people that they don't understand, right? They want to feel like they understand what you're saying and it's smart, not just like, I don't understand what they're saying, therefore they're smart, right? And they also like simple solutions, right? Like we don't need to talk about each detail of each healthcare policy. We can just say, like you said, what we're going to do, right? And you can tell people the basic details about how you're going to do it, but you don't need to really get in the.
What did she say? She wanted it to be good and cheap. Like, okay, well, maybe we should, like I'm not an expert in how all like that stuff works, but I know that when you expand insurance and all this stuff, it has made things become more expensive and it's led to all these negative side effects. So I don't have the solution in how to fix like the healthcare situation, but it's not just, well, let's just artificially lower insurance or put a cap on it or something and then force good quality healthcare. That's not the solution. I'm not saying she suggested that, but Democrats usually always suggest crap like that. But maybe actually going into the reasons why like our health bills are so expensive, maybe go into that and actually solve that without just artificially just putting a cap on things.
The weeds. And you also don't need to talk about 20 things at once. I think that's part of the issue with the Democratic coalition. The Republican coalition is like, we want border security, tax cuts, whatever. There's like 5 things that they actually care about. And then there's minor things. And for the Democrats, it's like, well, we're really diverse, actually. We want a lot of different things, but we need to learn to prioritize because not every issue deserves to be brought into the spotlight just for any reason. Whenever you go to a door as a Democrat and you knock on the door to talk to a voter about the things that your party supports, they should already know what those things are. If they don't, that means that you're not doing a good job messaging. If you go to
we know we know what you guys support.
Somebody, you ask them, what does Trump support? They're going to be able to list at least 2 things, probably. They can't list anything for Kamala Harris. $30,000 home buyer tax credit, whatever. No, there's 0% chance they can list anything because there's just so many ideas and they're all so contrived.
Well, no, that's not true. They'll say that she supports sex changes for transgender illegal aliens in prison.
A center of her platform, yes.
It was a central part of her platform. Yeah, I mean, it's just the same thing over and over again. It's kind of like, guys, what are we doing here? I think of it as America or voters in general, when they're deciding who they want to vote for, they want a mom and they want a dad. Not to be homophobic, because there can be, same-sex parents here. They want a mom and
crap like that too is why you guys are losing young men, because you have to say not to be homophobic because I know there could be 2 dads or 2 moms. Yeah, it's when you say crap like that also has young men tuning out.
A dad. They want someone who, in times of uncertainty, can bring them comfort and can make them feel like there's someone there for them. And then they also want someone who's going to be stern, who's going to have their back, and who's going to say the tough things that need to be said. And I feel like we try to offer voters comfort, but instead of coming across as like mom or dad, we kind of come across as like the aunt who you kind of don't like her, but she gets you really good Christmas presents. So like every once in a while you'll go visit. Like, I feel like that's kind of how we come across as like, well, I don't really trust the Democrats and I don't really like them that much, but the Affordable Care Act was cool. And like, that's kind of the extent of it is how people feel about us most of the time.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the aunt, the family.
That's actually not wrong. She was actually right on that. You know, but it just goes, yeah, saying mom and dad is homophobic. Yeah, see, it's when you say crap like that, that's another reason why you lose people. You can't say mom and dad because that's homophobic. It's just funny though. It's funny seeing these Democrats try to figure out why men are leaving the party, because it's like they have no idea. And I think one main reason why they don't have any idea is because they don't want to admit that their policies suck. They don't want to admit that. It's like, no, our policies are wrong. Well, how come the men don't see that our policies are correct? Why don't they like see that our policies are the way to go? Huh. Well, it must be because the Republicans are giving them this certain messaging and they're manipulating them into thinking that our policies suck. That's probably it. We have to try to find a way to talk to them so that they don't realize our policies suck. And that's what I get from that. And they'll never know why they're losing the men when they can't even realize that their policies suck and people don't want what they're serving up. Bottom line, that's what it is. And yeah, men, you don't stop demonizing men so much. You have nothing to offer men when you're all about feminization and feminism and all this stuff. You produce wieners like this dude. Like, this is what you produce. Where you look at chads in the freaking, Republican Party or the right-wing party, absolute chads in the MAGA party, men that are actually not afraid to be men. Yeah, it's no wonder they gravitate more toward there. But I really hope the Democrats never get it. I hope they never get it. Because as soon as they learn the concept of personal responsibility and inner reflection, then I think we're going to be in trouble. But what do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this. If you really enjoyed this, give it a like and things of that nature. And I'll see you guys later. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you like that, well, then subscribe to my channel and check out the cool stream live Mondays through Fridays and sometimes Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. ish Eastern time.